nobody stopping my shine. They try to break me, try to take me out, but I got Jesus on my side.
This is your host, Maria Duenas with the Entrepreneur Soiree, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day. The weather out here in California is actually changing, and it's definitely starting to feel like the holidays, and we can't forget the winds in the Inland Empire. If I can share with you guys, yesterday, literally, I thought my entire backyard was going to fly away. Things did fly. Even my easy up ended turning upside down. And I'm thinking, how am I supposed to get this backyard back into making it look somewhat decent after those heavy winds? But hey, that's the price that you have to pay living out here in California. You get to enjoy the beautiful weather, the winds, and everything else in between. But anyway, enough about my, weather forecast here, and let's jump right into what my episode is going to be for today. So, as many of you guys know, last week I was interviewed by the one and only Dr. Joe Vitale, who made his appearance in the movie The Secret and is a very well-known author. And he's known for one of his amazing books, The Attractor Factor. And it was actually a pretty interesting conversation because I usually get nervous when I'm being interviewed by people like him and with the experience and obviously the resume that they come with. And I'm always wondering, like, am I going to say the right thing, or do I need to worry about how I'm going to respond to certain questions? Because a lot of times I really don't know what they're going to ask. But I've learned throughout the years that it's just better to be who you are, not try to do things to impress people. And you're definitely going to learn along the way. It's not to say that you be who you are and then just have them take it or leave it, because obviously that can't always be applied. We have to be willing to adjust and change and be coachable if we ever want to get anywhere in life. Being who you are is okay. And, that can work for a while. But like I said, if you're going to want to make it in life, or even just in a regular job or whatever it is you decide to do, you have to be willing to change the way you think to be able to accomplish, all of your goals and be able to live the life you always imagined. So I that's what I've, learned to do. So anyway, we were having this back and forth conversation. He was asking and I'm answering, and he just had so much like positive reinforcement to say about me. But I wasn't really surprised because, and in the most humble way, I'm saying this because that's what usually people always tell me. Maria, you're always like so positive. You're always so, looking for the brighter things in life. Yes, that is who I am, but that's not who I always used to be. So I just want to make that clear, because it always happens where people think like, well, it's easy for you to say because you can take a negative situation, your life can be falling apart and you're still going to manage to find something good in it. Yes, but that took years of training myself, my mind, and literally investing in myself and putting in the work. It doesn't mean that every day I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so happy to be here and I have no problems to worry about. Most likely that's not the case. There's always something going on in my life, whether it's in the business, whether it's personal, whether it's, social with friends, whatever. But I always want to go back into like my genuine feelings. And even if I end up getting upset, go back and understand that, at the end of the day, if I can't control the situation, it is what it is. So going back to our whole conversation with Dr. Joe, it just, the conversation was going, and then it got to the point where he asked me this question that actually had me thinking after, because no one really has asked me that. And it was a very simple question. He just said, Maria, so how do you do it, with your competitors? How do you do it when it's time to compete? And I answered that question very organically, very genuine, because I do feel that I don't like to compete in the sense where it's a nasty competition. I always say, like, if there's there's like hundreds and hundreds of event planners out there. I personally admire a lot of them that I know are way better than me, that are just, like I said, from the clients that they're serving, just their ideas are out of this world. And I'm thinking, wow, how did they get to that level? Right? I'm not sitting here thinking, gosh, like, why can't that be me? But I'm thinking, how am I going to do it? Like, to step up my game to one day be able to be where they are. Right. And a lot of the times when we hear the word competition, it usually comes with like a negative thought, like, oh, it's not good to compete, or, why are we competing? But truth be told, sometimes people do have ill intention when they're competing with others. And what I said was, like, I really just like to focus on what Maria is doing. Why? Because a lot of the times when you're too worried about, Joe next door, what are they doing? You lose focus in what you're supposed to be doing. Now, I like to look at my competitors and, number one, get to see, like, who are they serving? What kind of services are they offering that I'm not offering? Or is it a possibility for me to incorporate them into my services? How are they, with their customer service? What is their response turnaround? How many people do they have on their team? All of those things where I can see, like, well, I can definitely improve in this area, or I can improve in that area. So that's how I take a look at it. I'm always willing and ready to say, like, okay, take that next challenge in a positive note, obviously always wanting to make sure that we walk away with what we want at the end of the day, which is the piece of business. But let's just say, if I end up losing it to my competitor, am I going to feel bad? Am I going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a loser? No, I'm just going to say, well, they probably deserved it more than I did. They probably put in much more work or much more effort, or have a closer relationship to that client. And maybe that's why that client went to them versus me, if they're starting to get to know me. So it's like, how do I work on the things that I need to improve, but always looking at it as in a positive note. So I'll share with you a quick example. And again, it just goes to show you, like, you want to make sure your intentions are always good. You don't ever want to earn, let's just say, in my field, I'll use my field as an example. Like, you never want to earn a piece of business based on, saying false statements about someone else that you don't even know, so that the potential customer or client can come to you versus them. It's happened to me all the time where, they'll, let's just say a potential client is calling in, they're trying to, do their research with me, A, B, and C, with 2 or 3 other different planners, and they're trying to compare things. And they'll say, well, have you worked with this person, or have you ever done anything for this other person? And the truth is that if the answer is yes, I have worked with them, or I've experienced, some sort of relationship with them, I will always disclose that. Okay, so you never want to talk negative about another vendor, or in my case, I will never disclose any negative information about another planner when a potential client is reaching out and, thinking I'm reaching out to you, but I'm also talking to A, B, and C. So you always want to be genuine about how you express yourself about the other person. And if you don't have if you don't have a positive experience, or you've had a positive encounter with the other people that, you're going to talk about, then just say something, that's polite. Obviously acknowledge that they are amazing people, because I'm sure they're comparing apples to apples. And then just acknowledge, yeah, they're pretty amazing. I've heard great things. Or just, opt to not emphasize if it's not a true statement, but don't talk negative about other people to make sure that you have a higher chance of earning that potential business. So I'll give you another quick example where, as I mentioned to you guys before, like we do a lot of our business is based on referral. People will recommend us and they've done that since the beginning. And we genuinely appreciate that because I can truly say like we are extremely blessed and fortunate to have built really good relationships and build on them and been able to maintain those throughout the years. That we have people that we've worked with, let's just say when we first started 8 years ago, and will continue to refer people our way even if they are no longer using us, but they will, send us for social events, corporate events. It doesn't matter. So I'll share with you a quick story where we had done a baby shower for a friend's family member. Okay. So then obviously the guests attend, and then there's another friend that we did not know at the time who attended the baby shower. And she just happens to work for a multi-billion-dollar management company here in California. And they were getting ready to celebrate their 50th anniversary. Okay. And she just was amazed at everything we had done for the baby shower. And she asked for our information. So she reaches out to us and says, oh my gosh, I attended the event this past weekend and your work is so amazing and so beautiful. And we're getting ready to celebrate, our 50th anniversary. And it's going to be huge and amazing. But it just so happens to be that the planning company that we've been using for so many years, and this is a very well-known company. They do celebrities, they do the Oscars. You name it, they've done it. They just haven't given us the attention we're used to getting from them. Would you be willing to come and meet with our executive team who's in charge of putting all of this together? And, let's see where the conversation goes. So my answer was like, yes. And yes, when do you want me, when are you available for this meeting? So I think we set it up like 2 days later, just making sure that the majority of the team was going to be available to meet with me. Now, mind you, whenever I'm being referred and I'm coming with high regards, I do get nervous. Okay. And I get nervous for a couple of reasons because I feel that I can't afford to not walk in there and be everything they have described me to be, right? No pressure. And I don't, and I half the time, I don't even know what they've said about me. I just know they've said, you need to call Maria. She's your girl. She can help you and she will take care of everything for you. So anyway, fast forward to our meeting day and I show up, and prior to showing up to any kind of meeting, especially of this caliber, like I'm already mentally prepared. I'm thinking I'm going to go in there and I'm going for what I came, which is to earn this piece of business, right? And let's just say for whatever reason, it doesn't happen that way. Then I'm going to ask myself, what could I have done to ensure, what can I do to ensure that this doesn't happen to be next time? And so obviously I was very well prepared. I did a little research on the company, what they stand for, who they service, what their interests are and things like that. So I show up very well prepared to a meeting and I walk in there as the expert that, they are expecting to have conversations with. So I walk into the meeting. And here I'm, meeting with executives and some of them are joining in on Zoom calls and all eyes are on me. Why? Because we are a couple of days away from this major event and they are still missing some of the biggest components of their event and don't have solutions and don't have answers. And they're calling their planner that, was supposed to be assisting them and she's not giving them the time of day. So I'm thinking, okay, again, going back to, do we take this opportunity and bash them even more and say how irresponsible it is for them not to do that? Or do we try to smoothen, the situation and then bring the focus back to why we are in this meeting to begin with, right? Because I am the answer to your problems and I'm going to help you get your event on the road. So anyway, I have this meeting and you have to be ready for these questions that they're going to ask you questions you may not even, be prepared to answer. They're going to want to walk the space with you and they will ask, what is your vision? And you better have a vision on the spot. And that's how you know if you're really, prepared for the job, for the opportunity. And if you'll kind of gauge it if you're going to walk away with, the piece of business or not. So anyway, here I am walking, answering questions, giving them my ideas, and they're just like nodding their head. We love this. We love this. We love this. And one of the members that I was actually meeting, I didn't realize, but he has a really close relationship to this other planner. And, he was like, he would keep bringing her up and saying, well, like so-and-so is going to still do this. I still want them to be involved to a certain degree. I'm okay with that. I have no problem, working together with with the other team. The problem is that not a lot of the times other teams like that because they at some point feel like threatened that you're going to come and take their business. But technically, you're not taking anything from them. They actually just left it there on the table for someone else to come and get it. So I don't feel bad for people like that because at the end of the day, this particular client was genuinely, trying to continue building that relationship with them, but they just didn't seem to be interested for whatever reason. I get it. We're always, trying to keep up. We're running behind. Always feels like we can never, be caught up enough. So anyway, long story short, I walked out of there with a piece of business. I told them, this is exactly how we're going to do it. This is exactly what I can do. And yes, I can have answers for you in a couple of hours. I put together their proposal. I sent it right away and, they approved it. And at the end of the day, they ended loving us. They loved us so much that they're like, Maria, we definitely want to continue to work with you for any other, big events that we have. We do want to build that relationship with you. And that's a form of competition right there, but not in a negative way, because even the day of the event when the other planner showed up, I was still trying to give her her space. And I was still trying to give her, like, this is the one that does have an established relationship with the client, and making sure that I wasn't stepping over anyone's toes and being respectful. But she didn't feel the same way about me. She actually tried to make me look really bad in front of the client, where I had to really think quick and see how am I going to respond in a professional manner where I can let her know that I am not working for her, that I'm specifically working for the client. And it was kind of like an awkward moment because the client actually did have to step in and just say, you know what, we're going to go with Maria's idea. Thank you. But, we're going to go with whatever she wants to do. I'm going to let her figure this part out. So again, competition may, have its ups and downs, and it's not always going to be like a smooth ride because we don't know where the other person is coming from. But you always, like I said, you always want to look at it from a really good point of view with good intention and understand, who are you going up against? It's continuing to educate yourself in whatever field you're in and make sure you're going after it. Even if, you lose a piece of business here and there, it doesn't mean you're not good enough, because we really don't know if the potential client doesn't share what they're actually looking for. And it just may have to be where, the other vendor had something in common with the client and they felt like they connected a little bit more, but it had nothing to do with your service. So you just always want to make sure you go back and you can ask, like, was there anything I could have done different? to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future. And, we'd really love to work with you. So it always boils down to how you want to see it. And it just, you can't be afraid, and you can't feel like when you're being rejected that you're just not going to, get anywhere from this point on. So that's my, take on competition. I know it was a much longer explanation, and I'm glad I'm able to share it here with you guys in this space, because when Dr. Joe asked me, obviously it was like a 1 minute response, and it was a quick response. But there's so much more that can go into it, that at the end of the day, you want to make sure, you can take a look at it, analyze it. But we're all here to compete one way or another with each other, or even just even if you're not a business owner, you're going to compete with yourself. You're going to compete with your neighbor who has a bigger house, who has a better car. But do it in a way where it's healthy, where it's not where you are, losing things left and right just to prove your point to someone, or to try to show someone that you're better than them. Because at the end of the day, all of that will come up to surface, and then you're the one that's going to kind of look like a fool. And obviously, you don't want to burn your bridges. At the end of the day, we are all here, to shine. We all want to shine. We all want to get recognized, and we all want to be winners at the end of the day. Maybe some more than others, and that's okay. And if you don't like to compete and you feel like competition is not for you, then hey, no problem. More power to you. But that's just like my quick outlook when it comes to that. And then I'll share something else that happened to me this past weekend, which I thought was, I don't even know if funny is the right word, but I just thought it was like pretty interesting, because we had a celebration, and I ended up working with a couple of vendors that I had not worked with before. And everything was fine. And I mean, this is not even talking in a bad way. This is just me thinking, and it got me thinking, like, wow, is this what it has boiled down to, right? So one of the vendors in particular, she comes to drop off her product, and she says, like, here it is, here you go. And then I asked about, like, oh, are you going to decorate this part? And then right away, and mind you, she's just starting. So right away, she just says, oh no, I didn't get paid for that. So I'm not going to, I'm just here to drop this off. And the way she came about it left me thinking, okay, well, number one, everyone that has a business knows that you're always going to do things you did not get paid for, right? And I understand if I was asking for a whole nother service, or it was really going to, like, I was going to ask her to go out of her way to do this. The answer was no. The answer was very simple as to what I was asking for. So I said, okay, so all right then. So you've done your job, right? So that's that. And she got me thinking the entire night. I was thinking, like, how unfortunate for this person who's just starting their business, and just straight out coming here to say, like, I'm sorry, you do it if you want to, but I didn't get paid for. Okay, cool, no problem. Moving on to the next subject. I'm there, and some things are not looking the way they're supposed to look. And I approached the person that was, doing this part of the event, setting up for this part of the event. And I approached her and I said, listen, is there any way we can fix it to look like this versus that? Well, I'm not here, to follow your orders. This is what so and so said. So if you want it to look like that, you have to, go to her, and then she has to come to me. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Like, is this how we're thinking, right? And I'm thinking, I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I'm thinking, well, number one, I asked myself, was I rude on how I asked, if they can please do this? How did I approach the situation? Was it my fault that she's responding? Did she feel like I was bossing her around? And obviously I'm not her boss. But I come across those responses more often than not that they got me thinking, and how is it that you're planning to get ahead in life with that kind of mentality? mentality. And it just boggles my mind because I know that I'm always doing things that I don't get paid for. It doesn't matter. But that's the reason why I'm still relevant. That's the reason why I'm still in business. That's the reason why, people will come to me, because not everything needs to be a transaction. If people would understand, like, we're here to build relationships and relationships will lead to more money, why is it so hard to understand, right? So these are just things that actually get me going sometimes, and I'm just thinking, like, bless them, right? Like, hey, if that's the attitude that's going to work for you and it's worked for you, more power to you. It's obviously not something that I want to implement, and I probably won't start implementing that at this stage in my life. If anything, I want to make sure I give you more than what you pay for, because that's just to show you how much I appreciate you. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it was just an interesting weekend overall, and that's all I have to say, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this segment, and I'll see you.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.